In 2022, after several years of living nomadically, I decided to give settling down a try, specifically in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I decided to move there because I was accepted into Tulsa Remote, a program that lures remote workers to move to the Sooner State for $10,000. Now, to earn that money, all you have to do is commit to living in Tulsa for a year. After that, all bets are off, and you can decide whether or not you want to stay there for the long term. As my year came to an end, I ultimately decided that Tulsa wasn't the place for me. But I did make friends who felt the opposite about Tulsa. And in this video, you're going to meet two of them and hear their perspectives on what it was like to live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Luke Shudo and Jen Navarez are the two closest friends I made living in Tulsa. Luke and I were actually roommates, and I met Jen through him. Luke moved to Tulsa after spending his first few years out of college in DC. What was Luke like back then when you came here in 2020?
So when I moved here, kind of jokingly, I didn't have any dishes or forks or things. I lived a very bare bones DC life. I lived in a bedroom, my roommate lived in the living room. I was coming to Tulsa almost to kind of reset or figure out, okay, how do I want to be spending money and budgeting? And I think I was trying to figure out that post-college life and career. And if I think on the positive side on Tulsa, it really has transformed me. I didn't think I'd have a home ever that I owned. And even with renting, I didn't think I'd ever rent a house. It's just all these things you don't think about when you're in this day-to-day grind of almost survival. So I think for me, DC was survival, and here it allowed me the time to reflect. I've created different businesses and opportunities and things. So maybe it's been a sandbox in that sort of way. This is one of my books. I specifically did this one because a thought came up in my head. Wow, I love traveling. I love airports. How do I memorialize that? How do I put something tangible together? And I'm well, is there an airport coloring book for adults? And there wasn't. And so I was you know what, let me do that. And then that went from airports to tea to plant. Now it's a whole little empire. But the gag or the kind of defining factor is that it's all on different trivia, because I was in trivia leagues and I love this idea of knowledge with the tranquil element to coloring. So anyway, that's been fun. I hope when we do the next house tour, it's in Malibu, because the books do so well. So
how long did you think you would be here when you decided to come here?
So when I moved here, I was in a relationship and he was in DC and stuff. So I guess I thought, oh, maybe it will be a year just to see what this looks like, and then we'll figure out our life. Again, it was just this idea of a limbo mode, a transition mode. But then as I stayed here longer, I think honestly the tie with the Equality Center and the local work was yeah, I have purpose here. It's this idea of there's purpose here.
Jen, meanwhile, came to Tulsa after leaving her life behind in Tampa.
I grew up in the same area with my family, lived most of my adult life in the same area with my family, and this was the first place that I made my own. And so there is another layer as to why Tulsa is so special to me. I'll give you an example. I didn't leave home for college, but I'm sure that's what people felt like when they left, because you sort of start to create your own little memories on your own in a whole nother geographical place.
You form a new identity too.
Yeah, it's almost like you're forced to. And even though Tulsa Remote gave us the community aspect of it, you still have to find your people within that community.
Luckily for Jen and Luke, they were able to find each other through the program.
Some of the comments we made could have easily been from someone married for 40 years, you fell asleep before or whatever. It's just so funny.
Well, people say marry your best friend, right?
Yeah.
So, there you go. But then who do you marry if your best friend marries someone else?
I did tell someone on the plane the other day, I was I went to Costa Rica when I was a kid in 2008. He's you were a kid in 2008?
You need a toy. Okay, thank you.
Oh, this is nice. So you put the desk over here.
Yeah, oh yeah, you haven't been here
No, not since you
Not since I
moved in.
Damn.
Wait, what?
Yeah, because remember when I left, you were still living
I
at the
was getting ready to
apartment.
turn it into an Airbnb too when you left.
It was already an Airbnb though, no?
I think I hadn't put it live yet because I remember my brother came. Oh no, when you
I
left.
thought you. No, yeah, it was already an Airbnb.
You're right.
It's been that long she hasn't lived here? Like she didn't live here when you
No,
left?
no,
No.
she was
So you've
planning.
only lived in
Yeah,
this
I was
house
planning.
for
Yeah,
a
I
year
had
and a
just
half?
I had just quit my job when you left. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, you've only lived in here for a year and a half?
Yes. Yeah.
Tulsa's the first place that I bought I guess you could say like a standalone single family home. And I live in this cute little curated, like all the yards are manicured neighborhood where people walk around my house with their golden retrievers, every 5 minutes. Like, it's crazy, but here I am with my little manicured lawn too, freshly cut.
Did you ever imagine that you would live in a place like this?
No.
Nearly a year and a half after moving to Tulsa, Jen decided to buy a house herself. She wanted to get a property as a short-term rental, but she also wanted the flexibility to move in if the experience didn't work out. So before she bought, she approached the entire process with caution and ran her numbers carefully.
Some months were good, but most months I just broke even.
Really?
And it just wasn't worth the hassle of breaking even if I had to like pretty much do customer service on the side. We make certain decisions based on the best knowledge we have in that moment. So for me in that moment, everything made sense and I still believe I made the right decision. But as time progressed, like I had never ran a hospitality business before, so it's kind of like new to me that, oh yeah, like I have to be very kind to these people, or I have to, be there for them as they need me.
Answer their questions.
Yeah, like that's what happens at a hotel. Anytime you need something, you have to call somebody and somebody has to be readily available to bring it to you, or you have a bad experience. And you can have all these backup things, that's not a problem, but it's easier said than done to say like, oh, I have all these backups, and like when you're in the moment and you feel responsible for the thing.
But you still have to, because we've talked about this before, but you still have to kind of make a decision on the future of what you want to do with this house. Because you got an adjustable rate mortgage.
Oh my god.
Yeah, 5 years. So I have to make a decision in the next 3 years, I think, which, I don't know, part of me was more stressed about that than now. I feel like it is what it is, and it could just be like a personality shift in me too, where I've sort of stopped trying to take control of things that don't need to have my control. I feel like one of those, like at that moment I made what I thought was the best decision and I just need to just sit with it now. The house value has gone up, so I feel good about that, and I've seen a lot of houses like go for sale around and actually sell. So I guess right now I'm just sitting on it until it feels right to let it go. It's fine, I don't know what the future holds.
Yeah.
So this could be a great investment one day or the worst investment I ever made, and I'll just have to be okay with it.
I think it's a great place for a lot of things, but honestly, there are some challenges, whether you're someone that really wants a well-connected place, like me, and not that the airport doesn't have anything, but it's still in that growth phase. I think Tulsa's a great place if you want to get in the growth and be a part of it, but if you want to be somewhere where it's already established or a thing, then it might be challenging here.
Now, up until this point, I've featured Luke and Jen's perspectives on Tulsa, but I haven't shared much of mine. When my time in Oklahoma came to an end in 2022, I decided to chronicle my last day in town and reflect on my decision to move. My last day here in Tulsa. Packed up everything, and I'll be headed to the airport in a few hours and leave Tulsa for good. The room is empty. Cleaned up, vacuumed. It's a very big room, a lot of space here. I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss this house. Miss my bathroom. That's sparkling. The dining room, the den. right now, I'm just trying to reflect and think upon this time that I spent here. I applied to Tulsa Remote back in November of 2020. I was invited to do the interview and then did the interview for it in February 2021, and then didn't move here until the beginning of this year. I moved here with the hope and the intention of potentially buying a house, and I could never really pull the trigger on that. I think the reasons why were just due to my own insecurity with work and also how I wanted to be spending my time. Did I want to be spending my time working on a home, building that up, investing in it? And when it boiled down to it, just in my gut, in terms of my instincts, it didn't really make sense to do that. So that's where I'm at now. It's the key to this house. It's really it. Leaving this here. It is really coming to an end here. Wow, that's it. I'm leaving this house for the last time. Goodbye.
Oh my God!
Bye. So, what advice would you give to somebody who is considering coming here?
I really think it should be about coming in, having an experience, learning, growing, meeting folks, getting out of your comfort zone, and coming in with an open mind and minimal expectations, because then again, if you don't like it, the year's up, whatever. So just take it in strides. And also another important thing is, don't have it all together when you come. It's okay, like kind of let it build as you are here and evolve. Like just be flexible. I think that's another huge thing, and I think a lot of good will come.
Tulsa's really beautiful. At its core, it's really beautiful. I don't know how to explain it. It's got its things, but that's just the best way to explain it. It's funny because when I get on the flight from Tampa to Atlanta, I miss Tampa. Like, I'm just thinking about how much I'm gonna miss Tampa. And then when I get on the flight Atlanta to Tulsa, I just can't wait to get to Tulsa. And I think, oh yeah, it's because, I can't wait to get home after traveling. But once we start getting close to Tulsa's like aerial space, and I start to see Tulsa, it almost is like a feeling. And I've heard from other people that they have the same emotion. It's like a feeling of home that just overwhelms you. I haven't really fleshed this out, but the feeling of home that I feel in Tulsa is obviously nothing compared to the feeling of home I feel when I'm around my family. But it's still very much a feeling of home. And I just hope it never goes away, because I love Tulsa, even when I leave it.
Hey everybody, John Santiago here. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it, leave a comment, engage with it in any way. It helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. By the way, if you enjoy what you're watching here on World of Nuance, maybe you might enjoy my newsletter. I'm building it up. It's something that I'm really just getting off the ground right now. And if you would like to support this channel, you can do so by subscribing to the newsletter. That is one of the best ways that you can go about supporting my work here on World of Nuance. Just visit www.worldofnuance.com to sign up. I've also got a link down in the description below. Now, if you like this video, you probably are going to be curious about what it's like to live in other places around the world. Check out these videos right over here.